All right, welcome in. It's the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Joining me on this new platform, giving it a shot, giving it a go here on StreamYard. It's Israel Troop, man. Israel, what's up, dude?
What's up, brother? I was waiting on the intro, and I was like, "Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
We're live."
yeah. This is a trial run, so I don't get to import my own intro like we do on the other platform. But if this goes well as far as recording quality and we don't look like the 1980s Godzilla movies, I'll be happy and I'll switch my subscription so that we can have all of our natural elements here. But as you see, the Dogs are bound for the national championship for the second year in a row. Our social information is scrolling down underneath. It does look different, but that's okay. Um, gonna be a great show. Gonna be a action packed show. Got a lot to talk about. But we are brought to you by BetOnline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything from the NFL and the bowl season just wrapped up, but you have NBA, NHL, esports, all that stuff. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite leagues and events. So head to betonline.ag to join and receive that 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to receive your rewards. BetOnline is where the game starts. So we're going to take a little bit of an odd start to the I say odd because it's not really our brand. We're a Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. We're not the Believe in the NFL podcast or the Bills Mafia podcast or anything like that. But I do want to address this. I do want to talk about this because we're both former players. You played in college. I was not fortunate enough to make it to the college level, but you certainly played in the college level. Scary thing happened last night. Not going to get into details of what happened. Most of you probably already know at this point, but Damar Hamlin was they had to perform CPR on the field with an AED. Very scary situation. When you have NFL players who are used to broken bones, concussions, and everything in between, when you have them freaking out the way they did last night, it's a scary thing. It really is. And watching it, it's surreal because it's never happened before. And what blew me away is that the tackle itself didn't look that, usually when you see something like that, you're expecting some huge collision, and that didn't happen. But from what doctors described, he got hit at the perfect time to send him into cardiac arrest. But they're saying his vitals are back. The most recent update I read on Twitter was that he is 50% on assisted breathing. So it sounds like he's starting to make the recovery. But what was your first thought when you saw that?
First thought, prayers out to Hamlin and his family. Been around this game a long time. I've seen some gnarly hits. I've been hit with a couple in my lifetime as well. As far as concussions and stuff go, but I've never seen anything like that happen. Especially where they have to come out and perform CPR. That's one thing I've never seen this in this game before. And you've seen people, not get knocked out. Tools throwing up gang signs. Just a couple of weeks ago. But he was fine. He was able to walk off. So for something like that to happen and having to bring out the AED and perform CPR, that's scary. That is a very scary thing. It's a very serious thing too. But just when I saw the hit, I was like, I don't see what happened. At first I thought concussion. When he fell, kind of, how you get the shoulder a little bit and kind of fall and and then you're back. But he was down for a minute, and then they came across broadcast talk about they performing CPR. And it's just one of those freak things that you get hit at the right time, at the right angle, at the right millisecond. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's literally what happened. So it's a collision sport. It's a violent sport. But it was good to see. Shout out to Zach Taylor and the Bengals coming over. And consoling those guys because I mean they were torn up. I thought it was. I literally thought he had died the way they were acting, but it's a
Mhm.
scary thing because they never seen that in the football field. So
Yeah,
the emotions
it
were real,
is. Yeah.
and you just hate to see a situation like that. But I think NFL handled it well. Canceling
Mhm.
that game. There's no way that I would have played that football game last night. Um,
Mm-mm.
and I saw people tweeting like, "Why are people still in the stands?" I mean, they don't know what's going on.
They're probably stunned. They're probably in shock, like, what, even if they did
You
know,
can say,
you're probably just
absolutely,
frozen, right?
absolutely. You can say, "Oh, don't they look at Twitter?" Yeah, they probably do, but I mean, nobody knew what was going on. I think the NFL handled correctly sending the guys to the locker room, whether that was a coach's decision or not. I think everything was handled correctly from broadcasting to on the
Mhm.
field, things like that. And shout out to the emergency workers there as well for acting as swiftly as they did. Because I mean, it was literally life or death last night, and they did for everybody
Mhm.
involved did a phenomenal job last night.
And it appears from things that I've seen, that it did. They got to him in time. They saved his life. So that prayers continue to go up for him because he's not necessarily out of the woods yet, but it is good to see that the response was swift.
Hmm.
Um, the crowd, you know, you never know how a crowd like that's going to. You never know how 70,000 people are going to react in that situation. It didn't seem like anybody panicked. Obviously everybody was horrified, but and distraught and all of those things. But I was just impressed. I was impressed by the way the coaches handled it, the NFL execs. I mean, I know I know it can be a lengthy process, but like those guys, when they went back in the locker room, you knew they weren't going to come back out. Like it made it
Yeah.
seem like they were like the way it seemed, and I think where everybody kind of got up in arms was it seemed like the NFL was like they were trying to find a way to play that game, but that game was never going to be played, and
They were they
nor
really
should it
tried to
have been.
figure out to get everybody like
Hmm.
calm down is what it looked like to me because
Yeah,
you got the Bills.
yeah.
They're already up in arms and emotional.
Hmm.
Cincinnati doesn't know what to do. The only thing they can do is try to show compassion and be there for those guys. And
Hmm.
the NFL's like, look, bro, we can't play this game, so we got to figure out the best way to try to get everything in order. As far as getting them off the field, talking to the coaches because I mean, they couldn't talk to the Bills head coach at that point. He's distraught. Zach Taylor's coming over trying to talk to him, and it's like, Frazier, DC's like, dude, um, what do we do? You know what I mean? Everybody didn't have an answer, so
No, because this never
but you
happened
got to try
before.
to figure it out. You're the boss. You're the head of everything, so you got to try to figure out
Hmm.
how can we, you know, get everybody in, try to calm everybody down, and like come to an understanding of, hey, we ain't playing this football game, so don't worry about that. But we're just trying to make sure everything that with you guys that are still there is okay as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it seemed like a lot of it was just making sure those guys had resources in place for, I guess, therapy, trying to figure out how
Hmm.
to get guys where, they're going to be okay leaving, because you never know how people are going to react to those things, and
Oh
and
yeah,
people react differently to those things, and so it's just a unprecedented, raw, real situation, and so to end it, you prayers go up for Damar Hamlin and his family as they deal with this. Prayers go up for the Bills organization as they deal with this. Prayers go up for T. Higgins, who was on the other side of that. He was the one that was tackled by Damar Hamlin. He's the one that ultimately put his shoulder into his chest, not intentionally, obviously. I mean, he's just playing the game.
it's
But
football.
like you wonder what's going through his mind now, right?
Yeah,
What could
yeah.
possibly be going through his mind?
Because at some point, people are stupid. They're going to say it's your fault, and it's not. It's
Mhm.
football. I mean,
Like
T.
like
Higgins is
Bart Scott.
protecting himself. Yeah, T. Higgins is protecting himself. He's lowered his shoulder. I mean, it wasn't a malicious hit by him either. You know what I mean? So from a defensive standpoint, guy going in, coming hard, making a tackle. I mean, it's a tackle you see every day, on Sunday, on Friday nights for us, on Saturday. I mean, even in Little League, you mean that's what you see all the time. And like I said, it just happened at the right time, right moment, right everything is how that happened. But he's hopefully he bounces back. He's doing better. He's not at the woods yet, like you said earlier, but it's a scary thing, but it's the reality. It's a collision sport. You never know what might happen. So, we've all just never seen that happen. We've seen broken legs and just ligaments and limbs just going in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen an AED have to come out on the field and you get towed off in an ambulance the way he did last night. That has never been seen. I know, at least in my 34 years of life, I've never seen anything like that happen on the football field before.
I mean, the closest thing you see is somebody with a neck injury and they put him in the and they put him in the backboard thing and they get him off that way. But even then that you get the thumbs up and and then it's not as difficult to go back. I mean, it's difficult, don't get me wrong, but it's not as difficult to go back and play for that. So prayers up for Damar Hamlin, the Bills organization, T. Higgins, Damar's family. We're with you. We hope you have a speedy recovery. I think the entire world is behind you. So more, just stay tuned to that situation. So there's no real good way to transition out of that. So we'll just pause for a second, and then we'll get into our show. All right. So Peach Bowl. Now we can talk about some exciting stuff here. I know you and I were kind of trading tweets, or not tweets, but we were trading texts back and forth. Game was interesting. It was exciting. You start off, Georgia 3-and-out gets Ohio State on 3-and-out, and then they go 3-and-out, and then they trade touchdowns. Well, no, Georgia goes roaring down the field, ends up missing the field goal, and then Ohio State goes and scores a touchdown. Georgia answers back with another touchdown, and then you just kind of trade blows. Georgia gets the upper hand for a minute, then Ohio State comes and takes it back. C.J. Stroud, we'll kind of talk about kind of where we were right in our predictions. Then you got that third quarter, which looked like Ohio at some point. I think I texted you and said this could get ugly, and at that point, Ohio State was dominant. Georgia couldn't seem to do anything right. Couldn't get out of their own way. Stetson was 2020 Stetson, where he's patting the ball and thinking too much and trying to do too much. And then the fourth quarter happened. Georgia dusted every bit of that off. I definitely Larry Munsoned it. I was definitely in Larry Munson mode. And then Stetson goes and does his thing. We go down, win the game. We go down there, take the lead, and then to bow our necks there with 1st and 10 from the plus 32 for Ohio State, for them to not move the ball another inch to set up a 50-yard field goal attempt from the left hash. So that caused that guy to pull it. Was an outstanding way to finish at the freaking stroke of midnight, which is even more. So look at it, this game, just playing this game out. One of the things that we said, the first thing that you and I unanimously wholeheartedly agreed on, was the fact that if we don't affect CJ Stroud, he's going to have a big day. Like, it doesn't matter who you have at corner. If you don't get after CJ Stroud, he can burn you, and he did. He threw for close to 400 yards.
Yeah, he completely lit us up. we were talking about today in the office, and I said if Njigba is playing, we get beat, honestly, because I mean we had no answer. We rushed two people one time, two.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get seated and drop the defense. But I think we dropped Stackhouse out in coverage, try to spy. Yeah, that didn't work either.
No.
But at the same time, I mean, when we got pressure on him, we never did get to him either. So he still had time to sit in the pocket. But you know, Ohio State, because they had a game plan to block us. You know, we were sending people everywhere. They did a good job blocking us. Good job to those guys. But you know, it was an exciting game. You know, if you go back and look at the Michigan and TCU game, were we expecting that? I damn sure wasn't. TCU came out with a plan, and Michigan could not figure them out, and they were not ready for it. You know, so you knew the second game had to be exciting, and it definitely was. To end the way it did, it struck at midnight. You know, and say what you want to. You know, people were all upset with Stetson. I mean, he only completed 10 passes. I mean, it's just one of those deals where he was trying to do a little bit too much. I think me and you said at the same time on Saturday, he's just trying to do too much. You know, just stay within the game. I did have one hiccup where I was upset because we left too much time on the clock at the end. But watching it again today, Stetson was in a rhythm. So by slowing him down just to run the clock, I think it would have got him out of rhythm. And he done make that throw to AD Mitchell in the corner of the end zone, in my opinion.
No.
So, do you want to just run the clock out? Absolutely. But if you slow him down in the zone that he was in, I don't think he throws that ball in the corner.
You needed 6 points there, and you've got to get 6 points. I don't care how you get it. Yeah. You're the number one freaking team in the country. If you cannot make one stop, then you didn't deserve that game. You need to score when you can score. And if your quarterback's in rhythm, take it.
That we were going to win that ball game, no doubt whatsoever. I think I was live tweeting the whole time. I was like, guys, we're fine. We just came off national championship where we were down, had to come back and win. So I mean, we've been here before, you know. But had we not stopped Ohio State if we hadn't forced them to make the field goal when we sacked him on the drive before the Arian Smith touchdown. I think we lose that ball game if they were able to score a touchdown there.
Because they go up 18 there, and it's a whole different ball game because we had first and 10 from the plus 30 and we got nothing out of it, which is a terrible series. You know, I thought at times the play calling was bad.
From the 2-yard line, and we throw a dang lateral. I was like, what are we doing? Just give the ball to Milton. Just give it to him.
Yeah. Just
worst case scenario, you 3rd and 1.
Yeah, he's gonna and then give it to him again. He's gonna crash into the end zone. Dude was running hard, man.
The running backs, Dejon Milton and McIntosh had a phenomenal game. I think Brock Bowers, even though they were like, why are we getting the ball to Brock Bowers? Well, they did a really good job of taking Brock away until the second half, you know. But to have Arian Smith step up, Rosemary Jackson step up, Blaylock making a key 3rd down, you know, catch, you know, paid. I mean, even Karius Jackson coming in and contributing, you know, in that ball game, you know, and without having Ladd McConkey, who is your number one receiver, down, and you lose Washington. I mean, it was a great all-around effort, you know, from the offensive side of football, you know. And I wish we'd have ran the ball a little bit more, kind of kept CJ off the field. But I mean, you know, I think we were pretty even, you know, as far as running the pass. But I do feel like we were dominating the line of scrimmage on offense. That's just my opinion.
That's where our rushing attack was strong. I mean, we could have I think if we pound the ball down there on 1st and goal from the 3, I think if we pound the rock there, we eat some more clock there. We demoralize them a little bit. We punch it in. Maybe we punch it in on that first play. Who knows? But it did seem like Stetson was kind of freelancing there when he tried to throw that swing pass.
Yeah,
and it ended up being a fumble. I think that was one of the things Kirby was upset about. But
the one where he was running, he escaped the pocket and he was running, and he got the penalty for being over line of scrimmage. If he just runs, I mean, he's skating down the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, he probably gets Worst case scenario, 8 yards. Worst case
That play
scenario.
stands out to me. The play in the beginning of the game where they were running zone to left, and he pulls the ball instead of putting the ball, walk-in touchdown. There's another one that I was thinking about. Oh, they're running mesh. It's third down. They're running simple mesh concept, and he throws. I guess he's wanted AD to run a bench route. Well, simple mesh rules. He's going to run a corner route. So I don't know if I don't know if he should have signaled bench to him or what. But if you look at the play, Lad McConkey's wide open over the ball, butt naked wide open. Because everybody went with Brock.
Yeah.
I was like, God dang. Like,
it was first half Natty Stetson from last year. Where he was pressing,
quarter,
he was like he relaxed.
That's seeing, baby.
He relaxed. That's all there is to it. He relaxed. But yeah, second quarter.
First quarter, second quarter and fourth quarter. I mean, he balled out, going to halftime and to end the game.
He just relaxed. I don't know what it was. But the third quarter was pretty dreadful for the entire team. But one thing that I was impressed with Ohio State's play calling, something that really affected our defense was those crossing routes. The play action half roll with the crossing routes, which
it's literally just cross.
It's really hard to defend when you don't get pressure on the quarterback. First of all, it's almost impossible to defend.
We said it on our show, and I said it on our show, and I said it on Twitter. We can't play zone. We're not good at zone. We're not real good at zone. We're not real good at man right now either. Hell, because I mean, we're just losing people left and right. But one thing about it, when we do play man, it looks better. When we play zone, there's holes everywhere. And when we played LSU, that's exactly what happened. We tried to play zone, they ate us up. Happened again.
Curls, ends, digs, crossers, things like that just kill our zone. But when we play man and we don't get any pressure, doesn't matter. Might as well be on air if we don't get any pressure. They might as well just stop.
That's also not taken away from Ohio State because they got some dudes at receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a man. I don't know if you guys know that last name, but he is a dude. You should look up his father. He is a bad man.
His father was all right. His father was pretty good.
He's just in the Hall of Fame.
Just got a gold jacket that he didn't pay for. But yeah, no, I mean,
he was eating Lassiter up. I mean, I thought it was going to be Ringo, but Lassiter they were taking his lunch money for a long time there.
Yeah.
But Smith came up and was big. Bullard came up. The hit on Marvin Harrison was clean as all. That was the cleanest hard hit that I've seen all year.
That's a hot topic, man. It was that targeting
to get his helmet out the way, to not launch at the guy, and to go for the ball. That's what people don't realize. He didn't go to hit Marvin Harrison. He went to the ball, and Marvin Harrison stepped out of the ball before that. They ain't talking about that, but I saw that.
I mean,
but
that officiating crew was terrible, nonetheless. But
did you see that every time that they had to call a penalty against Ohio State, like it like hurt their feelings? They were just like, "Oh, Ohio State."
Pac-12 crew, I think, right?
You know what I mean? It was
like, number one team. Yeah, definitely a hold on. Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, I thought the officiating in the Fiesta Bowl was terrible too. Just to be honest with you.
But I will say they let them play. It wasn't a lot of penalties. I think it was like 8 altogether. But we got the big ones. But for the most part, they did let them play. Because there was some serious, raping going on, during that particular game. Things that are illegal in all 50 states. So, they did. They had to get Ohio State at some point because it was just a straight massacre. Like, give me your lunch money and everything, and your car keys, and your girlfriend too, because I'm taking it all.
There were some plays where Stroud's running around. I'm like, dude, he's running around. Call a hold because I'm sure there is one. Like, okay, if you sit back in the pocket, yeah, you can eat your whistle there. But, you could probably, technically you call holding on every play. But when you get the quarterback scrambling back and forth, and you got you got one guy trying to break through and he can't break through, but he's like in between two people, but he's just like waddling like that, and there's guys on either side of him. That's not a hold.
Yeah.
Like there were some egregious ones, like some really bad holds that weren't called. And I'm not one to complain about the refs, but there were some really bad called or holds that were not called. So
yeah, then the ones that were called, it looked that bad compared to some others.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you called that one, but you didn't call XYZ. I mean,
yeah, you can see Kirby and he just starts laughing. He's
like, what can I do? But overall, I thought initially defense. I think the pass rush could be better. I think the pass rush could help our DBs out just a little bit. Zone, we continue to look lost. I thought the linebackers played well in the run game. A couple they got us on the edge a few times, but for the most part, we bottled up their run game pretty daggum well.
We gotta get our D line in shape. I know we're thin. We got a couple guys down with injuries, but if this is the way that we're gonna go with 4 down, okay, then those guys got to be in shape. Jalen Carter, I love him to death. He played a lot of snaps. I'm not taking anything away from him, but when it's time to be a Bulldog, you have to be that Bulldog, big dog, because you're looking a little tired out there. And I get, I'm not saying that anything bad or, I don't mean that maliciously by any time.
Are you saying he has character issues?
Absolutely not.
I was talking to McShay here.
We're going to be a 4-down team. Those guys do have to be in shape because they're not coming off the field. Especially if the other team, because TCU's not going to substitute. So they're going to have to be ready to go at all times. So, that's just one knock that I saw. It wasn't a hustle thing. It was just a point of, all right, big dog, you're going to have to suck it up and go.
We're going to need you. We're going to need you to have a good, fast, disciplined rush.
Yes.
And we're going to have to bow up in the run game because their best runner is the quarterback. Let's get into TCU. He likes to run it. And that's their best runner. So they get an extra blocker. So we're going to have to really kind of bow up in the passing game or in the running game a little bit, which, I don't think we've had much of a problem doing that. I think on a couple of occasions, people have popped big runs, but for the most part, we've been pretty stingy against the run. So I'm not as worried about that, but Max Duggan is a special dude. And I don't know what it is about TCU. We've been saying this all year. We've been waiting on, okay, this is the week they lose. They're playing Oklahoma. Okay, no, this is the week they lose. They're playing Baylor. No, okay, they're going to slip up here against Oklahoma State. I promise you. No, okay. They're going to, okay, they got Texas. There's no possible way they can hang on this long. Like they're still in the field. Like there's no possible way. No, okay. Kansas State.
They win. We predicted them to win, and they lost.
Yeah.
Then we predicted Michigan to beat them, and they won. Like, dang, guys. Like,
so does this mean we got to pick TCU to win the Natty?
Absolutely not. I can't do that. I'm not going to go
that hell no. So you're not that superstitious, are you?
No.
So
not in the least.
So the play of the game for the Peach Bowl, 2 things. Kirby calling the timeout. How clutch was that?
The timeout.
Perfect timeout. Yes. And then I had a wardrobe change midway through the third quarter. Right when they were reviewing for the targeting, I changed shirts. A friend of mine sent me a gift. It says it's a black shirt, and it has red writing. It has the state of Georgia. It says Georgia versus all y'all. It's a black T-shirt with red writing on it. I was wearing a different T-shirt. And I was texting with them as well, with my Illegal Motion college football podcast mates, and Josh, who's the one who got me the shirt, said, "Hey, you should change your shirt. Maybe it'll bring you some luck." So I'm like, screw it. We're on the verge of going down 18 here. Like it's getting pretty bleak. So I whatever shirt I was wearing, take it off, throw it in the laundry pile. I go grab his shirt, put it on. Immediately when I put it on, probably a minute after I put it on, they overturn the targeting. And then they kick the field goal. We hold them to the field goal. And then we go down and scored the Arian Smith touchdown. Mm-hmm. And then we went on that run. So I'm like, it's got to be the shirt.
You know, ask Mike Norvell about the wardrobe, man. Every time he tried to wear that little white polo, they got beat. He put that gray sweatshirt on. It was a whooping for whoever they were playing.
It was a whooping. It was a whooping. So, but going back to TCU, I mean, you know, with the I guess the struggles that we had in pass coverage. I mean, I know it's a team sport. Pass rush affects coverage, and coverage affects pass rush, things like that. But TCU's receiving core is not as deep as Ohio State's, never will be probably. But they do have one dude. One dude. I imagine Keely Ringo's going to be on him. I mean, I don't think we're going to. I don't think we struggle as much with that because I just don't think they have as many weapons. But you know, I could be wrong.
I think
it's Quentin Johnson, by the way.
I think the tempo of the game itself is gonna be where we struggle, honestly. You know, there's a couple of times against Ohio State we just kind of lollygagged around. They were able to snap it. We were out of position. That's where I think we're gonna struggle. We're gonna have to be out. We're gonna out physical them. I think Michigan did do a really good job being physical with TCU defensively. I think they just got caught, you know, a couple of times just in the wrong defense at that time, you know, for what TCU was doing. But you know, kudos to Riley for dialing it up. But for us, we're gonna have to play disciplined football. We're gonna have to be able to play base defense and line up fast and be able to play with those guys because I mean they're very physical. They're a very talented bunch. And I mean, Sam Duggan's, you know, to go to a game, your first year as head coach, and Sonny Dice, who's been talking major trash about the SEC. You know, if it's me, I got a little chip on my shoulder from Georgia. I don't care if I won it last year or not, but this guy doesn't think the SEC is very good. So we're going to have to show him that the SEC is really good. You know, he said about the Big Ten. He was right. They beat Michigan. So, I mean, he wasn't wrong. So
Michigan screwed up. Michigan screwed up by saying, well, if they get in that 3-3-5, we're going to run all over them. And one other guy said, like, what conference do they play in?
Have you ever tried to run against a 3-3-5? It ain't fun because your line don't know who to go to.
Yeah, the blocking rules get messed up, especially if you're a big. Especially if you're a gap scheme based team, it screws with your rules big time.
Try to pull and kick people if you want to. You're gonna have 2 free coming in a gap.
Michigan found that out the hard way.
Yeah, and there was some very questionable play calling. You know, now that you know, I hear that Harbaugh is in. You know, the running for the Carolina job, it kind of makes sense as to how bad they played because they didn't play very good.
They were uninspired. I mean, they played good at times, but they were just uninspired.
Yeah, it's one of those to where it's like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, it's like, come on, Michigan.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what
but
the heck,
you
man?
know, we're going to have to bring it against Michigan. I mean, against TCU. They're a very formidable opponent. They can beat us. And we are beatable. You know, Ohio State, you know, clearly showed that. Sesson's got to play better as far as decision making. I don't think his play is bad. I think his decision making, you know, of trying to do a little bit too much is really the problem at times. But other than that, I mean, stick to the game plan, do what we do, and you know, may the chips fall as they may.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, Stetson has got to be more consistent. He didn't play bad. It's hard to say he played bad and throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, or almost 2 yards shy of 400. We'll call it 400.
Hard to say that he played.
And only threw in 10 incomplete passes. Hard to say he played bad, but the 10 incompletions, the interception was bad. Like the interceptions was horrible. The incompletions were miscommunication, freestyling, waiting too long and missing your windows, things like that. He took some sacks that he doesn't normally take. He made that one penalty he got again was him pressing. Should have ran.
He's gonna have to use his legs.
He's gonna just go out and play Stetson Bennett football.
Yes.
You when you get a chance to run. Don't overthink it. Give the ball on zone read. When it presents itself, don't try to make the hero play. Make the routine plays. Make the basic plays. You make the basic plays, we're good at it. We're gonna beat TCU because we can out physical them. I think our run game should be good.
Last year is the Stetson minute we need. We need that Stetson back.
Yeah, we need the one that played against Michigan. We need the one that played against Oregon and South Carolina at the start of this year. We need the one that played the first half of the LSU game. We need that one.
The second half of Mississippi State.
Like, I almost said, hey, if we'd have lost that game, I'd have been like, dude, it's because you didn't get your fade.
He did not have a haircut, which I'm going to text Gant and I'm going to tweet this probably here in the next minute. Please make sure that Stetson gets a haircut before he goes to California. I don't know when y'all leaving, but please make sure he gets that thing faded up and tipped, and make sure the lineup is crispy before y'all leave to go to California, please. Because
make sure we're going to find your California barber. Find your barber out there in California. He'll line you up pretty good.
Even when he has a haircut, guess what? The defense plays good too.
Well, it's a whole swag thing, Like there's a whole new level of swag when he has his haircut. So Staquavius, man,
you're Staquavius, man. It's like Steve Urkel and Stephon Urkel, man. Like two different people.
Yeah, I bet Stetson will appreciate that we're comparing him to Stephon Urkel. I love it.
Hey man, he's cool guy.
Very cool. So, but yeah, I mean, you look at TCU, you look at the stats. Max Duggan, 14 of 29, 225, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He can get a little reckless with the ball, so I think if you can get in his face a little bit, he will pitch it to you. Their running back, Amari DeMercado, had 17 carries for 150 yards and a tud. I don't know that he gets that on Georgia's defense, but never say never, obviously. But TCU had 488 yards of total offense against Michigan, 263 of it on the ground. They averaged 7 yards per play, 19 first downs. They were 50% on third down, and their time of possession, like they had less time of possession than Michigan, but they had more penalties too. So I don't know what to make of this TCU team. They just everything they do. You're like, how are they 13-1?
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff they do.
Very momentum based. And when they got the pick 6 against Michigan, that set it up. And once they had the momentum, they never relinquished it. So it's one of those things where you got to keep them down. If you give them a chance, they're going to do it. The biggest thing about the game that I saw was that Michigan just completely got out physical, and they didn't respond until it was too late. I think the defense finally figured out that these guys are physical, these guys are hitting, but offensively, I don't think they figured out, with TCU's defense that, all right, guys, we're going to have to play, because there's absolutely no way you look at Michigan's whole offensive line, you look at TCU's defense, the front, those front 6, and it was like, oh, they can't run the ball, and that's what happened. I mean, the fumble on the goal line, for the guy was already in the backfield, whether he fumbled or not. Man, it was going to be
he was
second
stuffed.
and 5. It was over with.
Yeah, he was stuffed regardless. And they panicked. They freaked out. And they allowed TCU to gain momentum, which you can't do. Pick 6, not a great way to start. Then you go down. You go for it on 4th down with the Philly special from the 2-yard line.
It's just dumb to me. Just run the ball. I feel a lot better that way. You stuffed me.
And then
you got me.
Yeah. And then you get the touchdown that's overruled. And then you fumble on the half-yard line, trying to hand the ball off to a guy that's not really a running back. Like, Michigan did everything they could early on to make sure TCU realized that, hey, we can actually do this. Michigan was talented enough to put TCU to bed. Mm-hmm. I mean, they roared down the field that first series, got down into the deep red zone, inside the 5 even, installed.
Yeah,
like
in my mind,
that kind of thing. Like,
this is the same Michigan team that beat Ohio State that we just played.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Michigan team that played the other night beat the Ohio State team that we played?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I went on a radio show out in Wyoming. KC. Hold on, I can never get these call letters right. It was. Oh man, it was Keith Kelly. And I went on locally in Cheyenne. It was KFBC radio. There you go. I promise you I can read. KFBC radio in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Shout out to Keith Kelly for having me on. But one of the things he asked me was I more surprised that Ohio State lost to Michigan, or that Ohio State kept it the way they kept it with Georgia? And I answered, I was more surprised they lost to Michigan.
Yes.
I was more surprised they lost to Michigan, because Ohio State's an explosive team, and we saw that in full display. They were a team that had a hiccup. They were out-physicaled, and then they were reminded every day for a month and some change. Mm-hmm. And that's the performance they got. So I was more shocked, because this Michigan team just didn't seem like they were bought in completely, because I guess they knew their coach their coach wasn't bought in.
It was just a debacle, and mm-hmm. You try to keep it under wraps. If you're gonna make a move, but reporters are always trying to be the first one to break the story. So I didn't see anything about Carolina coming out, until after the game. But it's really hard to try to keep your guys focused when they know, shoot, man, coach about to bid.
But when the Colts fire their coach mid-season, when the Panthers fire their coach mid-season, when the Broncos fire their coach mid-season, and Jim Harbaugh almost went to the NFL last year with the Vikings,
and he's always in the mix.
The talk happens, and it's a distraction. So, I don't know.
It's hard to keep, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids that know the truth. They're like, hey, coach, man, we know you're gone, bro.
Yeah.
He didn't coach as hard. He didn't have that dumb look of confusion on his face that he normally has. Always trying to, think of something. He was just like, oh, well.
He's like, oh, well, okay. All right, TCU. Max Duggan's got another play here. But luckily for TCU, Sonny Dykes is not an NFL candidate, so they won't have to deal with those distractions. But, I think we're going to have to fight against the whole, we're the mighty Georgia Bulldogs, and TCU has no chance. And so TCU is going to come in, obviously, with a chip on their shoulder, like they have all year long. But, I think we're very similar, probably a more explosive passing game version of Kansas State, where Kansas State can move the ball. They're really good on the ground with Deuce Vaughn. And they were able to push TCU around a good bit. Now, Max Duggan single-handedly got them back in that game, which I don't know that he can do that against Georgia. And that's not just me being a homer, but I just think Georgia's has a little bit more deeper of a roster than Kansas State. But like, what do you make of that? Like, how do we compare with the only team that's beaten TCU, style wise, obviously not roster wise.
They were really close. I think we got, three capable running backs. They just got Deuce Vaughn, but I think we got three capable running backs. I think our offensive line is very similar. I think we do have a couple more weapons outside that we can throw the ball to. So I think we do compare to Ohio State a little bit in that, not Ohio State, but Kansas State in that regard. But we just got to go out and play our game. It's one of those things where if you let Max Duggan be Max Duggan, he's going to beat you. If you have to understand this. You're about to be, I think I said it last week too, you could be the fourth team in history, fourth, to win the national championship back to back. History. And if that doesn't get you fired up to go to practice, I don't know what is. You get NIL, no matter how much NIL money, and all this, that, and the third, you can make history. And that's one thing we preach, this year going to our state championship at Ware County was you can be the first team to win state in history, since consolidation. So, I mean, if that doesn't get you fired up and if we have to beg you and plead with you to do, little things right, then you don't deserve to win. And if, that's the case at Georgia this week, and they don't tell Stetson to get a haircut, get that thing faded up and crispy, then we don't deserve to win.
Exactly.
That's part of making history. Make sure you get a dang haircut.
And my job is to wear my Georgia versus all y'all T-shirt from the jump. That's my job.
I don't know what to do with this game. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do this game.
What did you change anything up? Where did you watch the game on Saturday?
I was at the lake last week, so we watched it outside in the pool house because obviously I'm a yeller, so I couldn't be inside with all the kids and grown people, so I had to go outside like a child. But we all the men were outside, so it was good. But I'll be home this time. Everything will be out the way. I'll cook before the game, and then after that, don't talk to me, don't say anything to me. I'm watching this football game. So that's usually how it works at my house.
What was your attire on Saturday? What were you wearing?
My wife got me a new Georgia shirt. I try to wear. She always gives me a Georgia shirt every year. So I try to wear it, and I won't be wearing it, that particular one, on Monday. I'll probably wear what I wore last year for the national championship game.
I'm trying to remember what I wore last year. Doesn't matter because I'm wearing Georgia versus all y'all. So I got my shirt. Yeah, that doesn't matter. So, okay, man. We're gonna end it right there. So it was a good show. It was a fun show. Might come at you one more time this week just to get you more content. Just because it's the last college football game of the year. And then we got to start talking about that sport that has that orange ball that goes through the hoop. That sport.
Yeah, the round ball.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about round ball. Georgia plays basketball. I know it's hard to believe. So. Okay, well, that's going to do it for us here on the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. Shout out to Javarius Cole with a backhanded compliment. Georgia forever, Bama's little bro. Good job, guys. Bring it on home. Proud of y'all. Thanks, I think. Not sure what thank you or smack you. Anyway, shout out to Javarius Cole. Thanks for listening. Regardless, thanks for leaving the comment. I guess he dropped that one off and took off. So anyway, for Israel Troop, I'm Corey Burton. This is the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast presented by betonline.ag. We hope you have a great 2023. We hope that if anything bad happened in 2022, it is now in the rear view. It is now in the dumpster, and we can move right on to 2023, which we are embarking. We are on our what is our sixth day of this year, something like that. Yeah. Third. Told you it was the third. Jeez. Anyway, we'll talk at you soon. And remember, as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.